Awesome. Are we being recorded though too? Yes, now we are. Woo, man. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Been a week.
Has it been a week?
Has it been? Didn't we? We
I
always
mean,
do them on Tuesdays, bro. Like that's how it works.
it's been 2 weeks for you. It's been a week for me.
Oh man, wasn't I here last week?
Man, you weren't here
No,
last
I
week.
was traveling. I was traveling last week. That's right. You had Barrick. We were talking about Drew and De Los Mayas and Coffee Experts Elite and the hurricane that Drew's about ready to walk into right now. How crazy is that?
I was just talking to him about it. I was like, so do they have like shelters or like are they prepared for this sort of thing? I guess they're prepared for it, but like apparently they're supposed to be in the eye of it for more than a few hours. I was like,
So I said, well, here's the deal, bro. I mean, they're not paying us for you to sit around, sitting on your thumb. So I need you to head on down there and still get your work done. I don't want to hear excuses. So we'll see. I think that I mean, how crazy it's things we just don't deal with in the States, especially like Pacific Northwest. We talk about this a lot, right? Like the crib of coffee, especially here in America, when it comes to especially our style of coffee, which is third wave, fast coffee through drive-throughs, right? Obviously, that's our specialty. But we just don't deal with weather like that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like Pacific Northwest doesn't get beat like that. I mean, we barely get snow, right? And then on top of that, I mean, there were times, now I will say, there were times in Tri-City where you guys got socked in the mouth a couple times with snow and ice and like slowed down grand openings. Do you remember Edison falling? Everybody was out there falling. Poor Cody Anderson was out there shaking in the parking lot while trying to direct traffic. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's some stuff we deal with here. Bro, come on, hurricanes, tornadoes. Like we were talking to a client in Florida, right? Last week or a couple weeks ago, and they had just gone through that hurricane down there, and they're like, we're just thankful that we have power there. There have been people without power here for days. We drove around, you can't even drive the streets, and you and I are just like, dude, what kind of apocalyptic world do you guys live in? Like,
right? I could that's way too much stress on top of everything else.
I think you were coming out of Coeur d'Alene that weekend, right? Or whatever. And you're like, me and the wife hanging out of Coeur d'Alene. Like,
Just sitting on the lake, enjoying the sunshine. They're like, we
come
just
and visit.
survived into the world.
This is just an invitation to all the people on the world of Facebook and anybody watching Coffee Experts Club. Come to the Pacific Northwest. It's where heaven lives. It's just a pretty amazing place.
Yep. Yeah, especially where I am, like Eastern Washington. The worst we get's like it gets windy sometimes.
Yeah.
Other
I
than
mean,
that,
Southern Oregon, like we all of our stuff's temperate. Like if we get snow, it'll stay on the ground a couple of days, maybe. Happens like 2 or 3 times a year, maybe. Other than that, that's the worst we see that we get. So it gets hot in the summer, just like Tri-Cities. But anyway, poor Drew. Well, not poor Drew. I mean, come on. Now let's take a deep breath and a step back. The guy's got to live in Belize for a month. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, so for those of you who are just catching the show for the first time today, Drew Moody, who is always on Coffee Experts with us, is on a Coffee Experts Elite assignment down in Belize for Coffee de los Mayas, opening their first location in San Ignacio. So Drew living the high life, lived up in Montana for a month with the guys up at Coffee Republic, did a Coffee Experts Elite up there, which is where we send one of our experts to your town and help you with your grand opening, help you find your manager, help you train your staff, help you with your grand opening event, help you with your menu, help you with anything that you need help with. The guys up in Montana, obviously a bunch of badass group of people at Coffee Republic, but they already had a lot of their stuff dialed in. But Jonathan, one of the owners up there, realized the need for just having more bandwidth, more strength, and more expertise on the table. So it wasn't just all on him. So we brought Drew up there. We actually brought in another one of our A team, and is that what we called him? Did we call him something else? I don't think that we
all stars,
something
squad.
all stars, maybe something. We sent up one of our guys to go help Drew, and they did a great grand opening. We're actually this time is going to be pretty freaking badass as well, because grand opening is set for De Los Mayas. Drew was up there in Montana, went and hiked the Grand Canyon, like Crimea River. Like the guy's got an amazing life, and then went down to Belize for a month. Well, we're sending so one of our collab team members, the infamous Taryn Turner, the legend of all things coffee, the origin of all things coffee, of everybody that's on this call. He actually is going to be vacationing in Belize this next week. He and actually Hurricane whatever, what's it called? Hurricane something?
Lisa.
Yeah, he and Hurricane Lisa are actually landing on the same day in Belize. But Taryn Turner is going to be down there this next week, and he's actually going to do a grand opening with Drew. So we actually have two representatives that are going to be down in at this elite and last elite, because Drew needs help. Like Drew can't just, I mean, he's a needy guy.
Yeah.
Drew, this one you've been stretched, bro. I feel like any of these assignments are always, you're a little bit out of the norm, right? Like it's something new. It's not the normal, like, but this one, I mean, how many hurricanes have you had to open grand openings in the middle of? That's what I want to know.
So far, none.
Yeah.
But here, I'm gonna add one check to that list here soon.
How's the weather down there?
Oh, it's amazing right now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But I think the storm's moving like 15 miles an hour towards us, right off the coast. So it'll be here in the next 24 hours or so.
Yeah, about the time Taryn's gonna land there.
I told trainees that you better be here. I don't know what to tell you.
That's funny because I just told the whole crowd here that I told Drew I don't care. I want you to be there. You better be there opening up and getting that grand opening going.
It rubs off, rolls downhill.
That's right. It all rolls down. A lot of things roll downhill. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's right.
Oh, anyway, so exciting times down in Belize, but anything exciting today, Drew? What'd you do today?
Just training. I got we've been breaking the shifts down into, I have trainees in the morning, trainees in the afternoon, and they basically don't know each other. So they stuck the morning shift, stuck around today and met the afternoon crew. So that was kind of nice. It's only about 9 people, but they're all getting to know each other in their groups, and I'd prefer it to not be so cliquey when we all get together. So introductions were nice. They had a good time, shared information, learning techniques. It was pretty cool. But other than that, pretty low key. I need to go get my passport stamped next couple of days. So
There you do. And we need to pray to God our ingredients arrive. Right? Like the boat's gonna make it, right? The boat made it in. Do we know?
no idea, bro.
Yeah, we need to WhatsApp that channel. Anyway, long story short, you were talking about training, and training has been pretty unique this time because obviously, let's state the obvious. Like, Belize is not a place that's used to coffee the way we do coffee, right? The kids that you're training are kids, a lot of them pretty young, right? You've got some pretty young crop this time, and have never done coffee before, right? So it's like not used to a coffee culture. Like a lot of the places we go they at least are familiar with what we're trying to do. Maybe they haven't done it themselves, but they've seen it, right? They've seen all the drive-through shacks. They've seen all the, the lines of cars out the wazoo. They understand at some level you want to do it decently fast, right? You want to turn American culture. They understand at some level some kind of customer service expectations. But when you go into a whole nother country, you lose a lot of those things. You know what I mean? Like we're in a different culture now. They do customer service different, and they don't have the experience of, oh yeah, well, I've never done this before, but I've seen it a lot, or I've gone with my friends. Like all my kids, they might as well work at Dutch Brothers for how many Dutch Brothers drinks they've drank. You know what I'm saying? Like they might as well, like work at BlackRock. They might as well work. 2 of my kids do work at Starbucks. You know what I mean? So I think that it's like they're at least familiar with it enough. But when you talk about this kind of scenario where Drew's in a totally different culture, not familiar with like these kids haven't frequented coffee, and now they're trying to serve coffee. It's different. It's a different kind of obviously training style. And Drew's just been doing these daily trainings where he brings them in cohorts, to go through their trainings, like he was saying. But we actually have rolled out something pretty unique to this time ever in the history of doing training, which has been pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about. Drew, did you just get hit with a hurricane and you don't have internet anymore?
Something like that. I don't know what's going on.
Awesome. So anyway, did you hear all that, Drew? How much of that did you hear?
I've been here the whole time. I just shut my video off, and now it looks like I'm frozen in time there.
Yeah, but it's a good face. You're looking super pensive, like you're really paying attention to what I'm saying.
It could be a worse face, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Anyway, so how has it been going with training kids that don't have any real experience doing this kind of work? And then I'm going to take them into what you helped us create for Coffee Experts Club that I think is freaking badass. So do you want to talk to them a little bit about training these kids?
Yeah, sure. So there's this whole they're on Belizean time is their whole excuse to me constantly, and it's like, oh, you're 5 minutes late, oh, you're 10 minutes late, and they're like, oh, I'm Belizean time. So that's been an interesting thing to work with. But I told them Belizean time is a quick way to lose your job if you're late on Belizean time. In all seriousness, they've been a really fantastic crew to work with, and I've been incredibly surprised at how quick they pick these things up. But they don't have drive-through things here. I try to talk to them about franchises that I know, and they don't know some of these references. And so getting creative with examples, I've had to kind of think on my feet when I'm like, oh, when you go to McDonald's, they don't know what that is, or Starbucks, and most of them have never been to a drive-through anything. So teaching them a culture of, how to be fast and why it's important to be fast and to think about. And I want this is the whole, hey, think about when you're the last car in line in a drive-through. And they're like, I've never had that experience of being in a drive-through. So getting creative with examples on ways to relate to the culture that I am brand new in. I've been here about a month now, but it's all, of course, incredibly fresh. I could spend years here and still be learning social nuances. But it's been a very nice experience, and most of them seem incredibly excited to be part of it. They keep telling me, we Belizeans love new things, is something they like to tell me. We love new things. We're excited by new things. And they talk about the expats, that the reason people don't stay here very long is because there's no coffee. So they go back to the States, and they want to drink their good coffee. So they're all real excited for something new. They're all excited to learn some new skills. And I can say open and honestly that they're going to be some of the best baristas in Belize. So that keeps getting them excited too.
I love that. And I think too, and that's probably something good to clarify as we're on this call. Cause what I can't stand about us as Americans sometimes is that we show up place and we're like, let us show you how to do stuff. Like we know everything, like what we're going down to Belize to help train them, what the owners down there at Coffee de los Mayas have brought us in to do isn't to teach Belize how to do coffee. It's we're trying to capture American tourists in Belize with the coffee they're looking for. And so it's like it needs to show up the right way, because we as Americans are so funny about how we go to these tropical destinations, these places, and we're like, I hope I don't see any other Americans. I just want to get away from all the tourists, but where's my coffee? I mean, we want it to be just our way, but we want to be unique and on the side. So that's the whole mission of Coffee de los Mayas, is how do we reach the tourists that are there with coffee that they're looking for, at a price and a taste and a quickness that they're used to getting, so that they frequent us every day, right? Because instead of, Ben, I know you've always been king at coining the idea of how do we get in people's daily ritual, right? How do we get the mom dropping off her kid at school in the morning? How do we get her again in the afternoon as she's picking up her kid from school? How do we get the people heading to work? How do we get the people taking kids to soccer games? Like, how do we get in people's normal pattern? Well, tourism in Belize is a different deal, right? Like the pattern we want to get into with people is like a 7 to 10 to 14 day window of when they want their coffee every morning. They're still coming to us, but we only have them in a limited amount of time. So I know Drew and I have spent a lot of time dreaming of how do we connect with hotels? How do we connect with the different places that tourists are? But once they get to our destination, Drew's right. Like it's all about the training, and it's all about are our people going to produce a drink that people are like, that place knows what they're doing when it comes to American coffee to Americans overseas. So
it was kind of cool today. We finally got to put together the pull-in shots and the steaming milk. Not that steaming milk will be a big deal here, but it is a fundamental cornerstone skill of being a good barista. And I had the baristas make themselves lattes today. And they got to watch each other and coach each other and compare notes at the end and be like, wow, mine's way too foamy, or my shot's really bitter. And to actually come to the understanding of why these things are the way they are. Because for me, it's always about the why is really important. So when they're taking that first drink and understanding the difference between a good flavored latte and a bad flavored latte, I think that's huge. So that was kind of fun today.
That's great.
Yeah, I think we've experienced a learning curve though this time that's really been a beneficial, right? Like I feel like we've rolled out something new this time that I'm excited to talk to everybody about today, with the training center, right?
I was going to say which curve, bro.
Right. Everything I'm doing is a curve. Anyway, I thought I could take us on a little tour and show us what we've been working on, show the people what we've been working on the last several months here at Coffee Experts Club. So I'm going to share my screen. Yes, isn't he sexy in this picture, Ben? Look at him. Look at all.
I know what I'm talking about.
That's right. Looking all authoritative with his hand, like just one holding his notebook. Anyway, so this is the training center. So what we've done with Coffee Experts Club is we've added this to our kit, right? Like Coffee Experts Club, not only do you get 35 hours worth of content where we're up leveling your management on how you're dealing with your people and your processes and how you're doing your planning and how you're doing your grand openings. And we help with all those frameworks. And then we've got these question and answers where once every other week, we interview an expert in the coffee industry to hear their pains, things they've learned from, things they've taught, just so we can get a comprehensive understanding of coffee in general. But we also have these tools, these assets that we've created for coffee people, coffee businesses over the last, 8 or 9 years. So we've got a great set of tools, all kinds of things, handbooks and scheduling softwares and scheduling matrices and how you look at your P&Ls and how you assess your finances and incentive matrices, how you're incentivizing your people. But the newest tool to the kit is this thing that is the training center. And the training centers we actually create for each individual coffee house. So this one is for Coffee de los Mayas, and it's completely branded to them. But the beauty is that it's a training center where Drew goes through exactly what it is to be a barista. And he talks to step one, and he deals with what they're using, the machines, the espresso machine, the grinder, the mixing utensils, the pumps versus the scoops. He goes to step two, how do you do it? The three pillars, pulling shots, aerating milk, drink construction. Step three, how you're talking to your customers, right? Proper communication, positioning and flow, barista speak, customer etiquette. And then I think this is where the magic is. Just everything up above. Drew did an incredible job. Thankful for the Coffee Republic folks that let us film at their stand. We're going to give them a seat in this their own management software as just a thank you. But this is really the magic of it, is the time to test, right? Because this is, how do you know how much your people are retaining? So what we did was we took all these videos and put them to a test. So what happens is people watch all the videos. What do you think, Drew? Is it like 35 minutes maybe total? All these videos combined?
Maybe.
I watched them all back to back. I think it was about 35 to 40 minutes total. Like each one's like 5 to 7 minutes probably. But then they click here to take the test. And we created a test inside a type form for Coffee de los Mayas where people enter in and they give us their name and email address, obviously, so we know who's testing. And then we take them through step by step through all of those videos that Drew just asked with question and answer. That every way through is rating their score, showing how much have they retained, how much have they not retained. And so, it goes all the way, I forget, I think there's, we're trying to get them to the place of getting 100%, but 87% is passing. We decided to help these guys come up with a number. And so as soon as they get to the bottom, it's going to give them a passing score. It sends them an email, sends us an email, and then we know exactly, are they ready to start or are they not? And Drew, maybe you could share a little bit about, like, how have you felt like it's helped?
So it was, let me put it this way. We trained for 2 days before I gave them the videos. So the videos were essentially like a 5-day course squished into 35 minutes. Now, training generally takes hours at a time because of the amount of times you need to repeat something for people to retain the information and the amount of times you want them to repeat the information to you. And those awkward seconds after you ask a question that nobody wants to answer. So all of those things eat up time. So after the 2 days, I gave the baristas these videos, or we gave them access to this little center here.
Yeah.
And throughout the weekend, they had 2 days where I told them, hey, you can, an hour each day, you can watch these videos and study. Let me know if you have any questions. So it was through the weekend, and then Monday they came and they had, it was nice because I didn't have to spend my physical manual time teaching them some of these things, and they came with more questions prepared for the following information that I was going to cover in the next few days. So one of the things that I found really beneficial about this type of learning is that they can rewatch the videos multiple times. Mm-hmm. They don't feel stupid waiting to ask questions because there's no way they can ask a question because it's a video. Instead, they can go back and rewatch the content. Whereas I know in a group setting, some people feel like they don't want to ask questions because they don't want to look dumb. Right. Here, they can rewatch the same video over and over. And it's like a personalized training. So not only can they watch the video, but they have me on WhatsApp. So during the training, they can personally ask me questions where it's a little less intense. There's fewer eyes on them. So I found that it was really beneficial. And honestly, I mean, I think I'm 4 days into training these guys, and they've got at least a week and a half to 2 weeks of experience under their belt just from being able to watch and rewatch these videos.
That's so great.
I think one of the coolest things too, Ben, was when we connected the Typeform, it also kicks off an email, obviously, that goes out to, Drew's getting it, we're getting it. But the cool thing that I saw was the progress, right? So let's look at this kid, Christopher, one of the guys that's training. When he first starts taking it, kicks out. As soon as he takes the test, it tells him on the screen, and it kicks him an email and it kicks us an email. And it says, hey, Christopher, he took the test, like he got a 75. Here's your details if you want to see all of his results. But then because he knew he got a 75, and because we told him on the sheet, if you know anything less than 87, please take it again. And it says that on the barista quiz too. If they get less than an 87, it says, sorry, you've scored less than an 87, please start over, you know, and it pushes them back over. The cool thing is in real time, you can watch. Here's Christopher taking his first time at 9:44 p.m. Then we see Christopher come back again, you know, at 8 a.m. the next morning, 86. Take it again at 15 minutes later, 85. Take it again, you know, 15 minutes later, 86. Take it again, you know, and a half hour later, 88. Bam, he's done. He's got his 87%. And we now know this is a kid that's watched the videos enough time and taken the test enough time. It's not like you sure watch the videos and answer it all at the same time. I don't care how you consume it. I don't care how you take the test, but it puts their eyes on it. And like Drew said, in a very non-threatening environment, gives them the ability to come, take their questions, submit their test, and it gives them their answers right there. And like Drew said, it cuts out all the wasted time, and in the comfort of their own house and from their own device on their own phone, as they're sitting there, can just thumb through, take the test, take it 100 times for all I care, just come back with an 87. And it's not something they can game us on. It's like, no, numbers don't lie. Did you pass or did you not pass? And then Drew can progress them on to the next stage. So I think it's been so cool to watch, because it was a brainchild that Drew and I had on creating it as we we're up there training people in Montana. I sent Jesh up to go up and do the film work, which there's a super funny video today on our social medias with Drew there, working with the guys up at Coffee Republic filming this stuff. But it's cool. Over the weekend, Drew and I had some really fun boxers back and forth just about, bro, this is so cool to watch happen in real time, watching people just build that confidence. And then the end result is, right, they're more confident, and it gives us, our customers, a better drink, right? Speed, service, strength, like what we're trying to shoot for.
Well, and this was just base level stuff. You know, this doesn't include proprietary recipes. This doesn't include advanced level stuff. This doesn't include so many things that this will include. You can include a flow test, you know. So virtually we've done everything here paper free, which is another huge, you know, impacting thing. As coffee shops, naturally we create a lot of waste. So if we can cut down on any of that and shrink our footprint, that's definitely a benefit too.
Not only that, but like the training is always, especially when you're preparing for a grand opening, it's always tough because it's always one to many. You know, it's classroom style where you got one teacher, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and it's so hard to sort of make sure that you can specifically reach a person and their questions when you're teaching a big group like that, especially when it's in brand new skills that they're never even heard of before. This sort of gives individualized instruction to each person, because they can do it on their own by themselves. They don't have to, you know, kind of like Drew said, be intimidated by the group, and then come back to you with questions. Is so much better than like having to spend those 3 hours with a group of, you know, 6 people and hope that they walk away with some sort of nugget and can remember what you were saying when you were addressing somebody else's question.
Right.
It makes it way, I think it's a great way to individualize it, let alone save, like Drew was saying, on the payroll of all of the wasted minutes of the time that it takes for you to start the training, you know, each day and finish the training and go through all those little minute details that just eat away at payroll, because you're spending hours and just lost progress. Where this is just, it's straight, it's condensed, it's individualized, and they can consume it and retain it so much easier. I think it's a win for payroll. It's a win for the teaching process.
And I will say this, I mean, it also helps us, like we would always talk about with grand openings, and Ben, I know you and I have this conversation a lot, because I felt like we had to work Wes and Shannon, especially Shannon, out of some of the concepts sometimes when it came to standardization, right? Like she would always want, you know, every new store to have a new flair and a new flavor and a new taste. And it's awesome. Like that's awesome for each new store, except for it puts a lot of weight and burden on the owners every time they have to create something new, because they have to brainchild the new vision instead of just standardizing. How can we just standardize things? How can we like just cookie cutter these things out? Like this is just what we do every time we open. And one of the hard things I think to replicate is trainers. Like, right, so maybe you get somebody in that's really good at training, and what if they bounce out or they don't stick around? Just because somebody's a good barista or a good manager doesn't necessarily mean they teach well, doesn't mean they instruct well, they're succinct, or standardized, everybody's getting the same thing. I know we got to a place at Roasters where we have 150 employees, right? Like we had 2 or 3 trainers, and it was like, okay, so who trained this person versus who trained this person? And then like, I think that the beauty of something like this is Drew's a great trainer. Drew, not stroke your ego, but man, the videos turned out beautiful, excellent, well thought through. Jesh caught great footage, like shows the milk, shows the steam, shows like exactly what you should be looking for, shows the exact texture you want it to turn out like wet paint, like Drew says. I mean, like there's certain things where it's standard, it's every time. And if somebody gets stuck, you're like, hey, I need you to go back and reconsume and take the test again, because like there's obviously something you're missing. And when they go back, they're getting the same exact standard teaching every single time, which takes all the guesswork out of it. It takes all the wondering of, did they get trained well? Was it a problem with the trainer? Was it a problem with the barista? Like, where was it a personality problem? Like, takes all of that out of it by just standardizing, giving people all the same knowledge base.
Yep. Yep. Let alone if they forget, right? Like, 6 months down the road, they're like, because we always talked about that all the time. It's like you train a great barista and you come back 6 months later, they're like, did you remember anything you learned? You've been making that drink wrong for how long?
Right.
And this, it's like, please go back and watch the video 3 months from now, 5 months from now, 6 months from now, and it keeps them fresh. And it keeps, we had that running joke where just about every employee in the company had one drink that was always made wrong for forever. And you come back around, you're like, what are you doing?
Right.
Watch the video, go back, watch video 2 every 6 months and keep it fresh that way. Keep them from making those mistakes that turn into habits, that turn into like long-term bad habits, long-term bad drinks. It's super simple that way.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, I remember all the manpower we'd spend on reviews and updates, and this takes a lot out of that too, because it's, I mean, say quarterly reviews or every 6 month reviews, we had a huge, long paper trail and a lot of time spent. And instead you could be like, okay, just go take this. And at the end of it, there's a test. And so then you get the review, and then you get actually to them to take a review. So they review all the info, and then I get tested on it again. So if they've been doing something wrong, first of all, they get to avoid being shamed publicly, which is always funny in the store. Probably not to them, but because I mean, we all were there. We all made drinks wrong.
Sure.
Ever.
Yeah.
But then not only that, they get to know exactly, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I did know that. So they get the pride and they get the learning moments all at one, and it takes hours of our time to do it manually.
Yep.
So cool. So I think obviously there are things about craft that you can't pass on. Obviously, Drew, that you can only get so much watching videos and taking a test, right? You're spending the hours with them on the machine, but at the same time, like for them to be able to get that advanced prep, lay the groundwork, they come back in, and like you said, they have educated questions. It's not just like in one ear out the other. That they've passed, or if they haven't passed, you're like, hey, I really need you to pass, otherwise I can't elevate you to the next level. We can't release you out into the wild. I think it's just cool. Super big kudos to you, Drew, for filming it all. I know it was a labor of love, took several days putting it all together to condense down to 35 minutes of content. And yeah, just grateful for seeing cool tools that save time. I think that's always something we're really big on here at Coffee Experts, is how can we cut down to efficiency? Like, how can we not waste? How can your dollar go furthest? And the way that happens is when you think of good systems. And this was a great one. So super pumped on how it turned out.
It has been good. I've seen some nice results.
Well, Drew, our hope is that you're going to survive the hurricane. Number one, not like I keep telling him, Ben, I'm like, bro, nothing can happen to you. You're like the golden goose down there. Like if something happens to you, we're in a serious situation. 1 week from grand opening, I guess Taryn's going to be on the scene now. So, Drew, I guess you can take a nap, but not really. Don't take a nap. But be safe, man. Like, I know we joke around about it, we laugh around about it, but I know it's a big deal, and it's like it was under a lot of water. That town was under a lot of water. Last set of pictures you sent me a couple weeks ago. So I hope you're going to stay safe this time as well.
Thanks. I'm thinking about just buying. My buddy's all worried about it. I was like, I think I just need an umbrella. He's like, you're gonna need more than an umbrella, man. Like what, a raft, a little blow up raft too.
That's right. Just like paddle to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. All righty, buddy. Well, I'm excited. Grand openings next week. Soft openings this week, right? Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're getting all our ingredients in, and and the hurricane allows it.
Exactly. If the hurricane allows it, we'll be there.
Yeah. Otherwise, grand opening next week. Pretty excited.
Yep. Next Friday.
All righty, guys. Have a great day. We'll see everybody on Coffee Experts next week.